This is Hockey Hardware, and here's a short video on how to play. Hockey Hardware is a fun, interactive, and competitive game inspired by fantasy hockey. It plays between 2 and 4 people, and it takes both luck and strategy to win. While it's made for the hockey fan, anyone can quickly learn how to play, have fun, and win. No previous hockey knowledge or experience is needed. The objective of Hockey Hardware is to win the Champions Cup by having the most trophy cards by the end of the game. Players can earn trophy cards by collecting hockey stats like goals, assists, shots, hits, and blocks by strategically playing game cards and avoiding adversity. Players compete for 11 trophies in pursuit of the Champions Cup, which is awarded to the winner at the end of the game. The Elite Sniper Trophy card is awarded to the player with the most goals. The Playmaker is awarded to the player with the most assists. The Big Shot is awarded to the player with the most shots. The Enforcer is awarded to the player with the most hits. Block Ops is awarded to the player with the most blocks. Top Rated is awarded to the player with the highest plus rating. The Captain Trophy card is awarded to the player with the most leader points. The Best of the West is awarded to the player with the most assists, goals, and leader points in the Western Conference. The Beast of the East is awarded to the player with the most assists, goals, and leader points in the Eastern Conference. The Power Forward is awarded to the forward with the most assists, goals, hits, leader points, plus rating, and shots combined. And the Most Valuable Defense is awarded to the defense with the most assists, blocks, goals, hits, leader points, and shots combined. Other components of Hockey Hardware include the game schedule, which keeps players on track through 15 rounds played over 3 periods and 2 intermissions. One player keeps the game schedule up to date throughout the game. There are 5 stat dice with 8 faces that have hockey stats and at least 1 adversity face per die. Your position and roster level in the lineup indicates how many stat dice you can roll in your turn. At the start of the game, the black game die determines your position and conference. It also determines who leads each round and updates the game schedule. Each player rolls the black game die on their turn to draw game cards. The green bonus die has no adversity face, and the stats on this die cannot be stolen. Players in top roster levels get to roll the bonus die on their turn, as well as any players who pick up the home ice advantage game card. Game cards are strategically played throughout the game and are used to get yourself ahead or push your opponents back. There are 13 different game cards in Hockey Hardware. The giveaway card is played to force your opponent to give away a stat of their choice on their turn. The backcheck card is played to deny a giveaway card from being played against you. A takeaway card is played to steal a stat of your choice from an opponent on their turn. The turnover card is played to deny an opponent's takeaway card from being played against you, or to turn over a turnover. Play the waiver wire card to force one of your opponents to give you a game card of their choice from their hand. The waiver claim card allows you to ask for a specific game card from your opponent. If your opponent has the game card in their hand, they must give it to you. Leader points, also known as LPs, can be used to purchase stats on your turn, or they can be tallied at intermission in pursuit of the Captain Trophy. All stats cost 2 LPs each, except the goal and shot stat, which costs 4 LPs because they are 2 stats that must be purchased together if you buy a goal. The stick lift card gives you information about an opponent. Play it to randomly select a card from your opponent's hand, look at it, and then return it to them. Play the poke check card to randomly select a card from your opponent, look at it, and turn it face down on the table. Then, all players will roll the black game die. The player who rolls the highest number gets to keep the card. The home ice advantage card is played as soon as you draw it. The card lets you roll the green bonus die and earn an extra stat. The breakaway card is also played as soon as you draw it. This card lets you roll the black game die to try and earn a shot stat or a goal and a shot stat. The shift card is always discarded as soon as it's picked up because this card has no value. No one likes drawing this card. Adversity cards are drawn when a player rolls adversity on their stat dice. These reflect the challenges that hockey players may face. These are the 8 types of adversity cards players may draw in the game. Road fatigue. Forfeit the next game card you draw. Benched. Forfeit the next 2 game cards you draw. Hang on to this card until those cards are forfeited. Conference trade. If you were playing in the East, you are now in the West, or vice versa. Position switch. If you are forward, you are now defense, or vice versa. Roster levels stay the same, except forwards on line 4 are now defense on pair 3. Line demotion. Demote your roster level by 1. Shuffle. Shuffle the adversity deck, including unused and discarded adversity cards. Suspension. Immediately end your turn and miss your next turn. Opponents cannot take game cards from you, and you cannot participate in any way during your suspension. And the buyout. Immediately forfeit all your game cards into the discard pile and end your turn. Of the adversity cards, the suspension and the buyout are definitely the worst. The player position pieces indicate whether a player is a forward or a defense, as well as their roster level. Forward line 1 and defense pair 1 are the highest roster levels for each position and let you roll the most stat dice on your turn. Conference pieces indicate if you play in the West or East Conference. Players in the West will compete for the Best of the West trophy card, while players in the East will compete to be Beast of the East. Players have a score sheet to tally their stats over the course of the game. Stats are counted at intermissions and at the end of the game to find out who wins each trophy card. You'll find all these details and more in the rulebook. To set up hockey hardware, organize the game card and adversity decks on your playing surface where all players can reach them. Leave room for a discard pile for each deck. All players will draw 5 game cards to start the game. The person in charge of updating the game schedule will go first at the beginning of each round. Start your turn by rolling the stat dice. Your roster level on your position piece indicates how many stat dice you can roll. Before you tally any stats on your score sheet, your opponents will have an opportunity to steal your stats if they have certain types of game cards like a giveaway, but a defensive card, like a back check, would defend against this action. At this point, tally your stats on your score sheet and move on to the next stage of your turn. Some players will roll adversity on their turn. Players who roll adversity will draw the same number of adversity cards as they rolled. For example, a conference trade card results in switching to the opposite conference you're in, which may impact your game strategy. In the final stage of your turn, roll the black game die to determine how many game cards you can draw. Each game card has a description that informs players about what the card does and when to play it. Intermission takes place at the end of rounds 5 and 10. At intermission, players count and record their stats in each row on their score sheets. Players with the highest scores in each category will be awarded that trophy card. Hockey hardware can change hands multiple times over the course of the game based on luck, strategy, and action. The player with the most hockey hardware at the end of the game receives the Champions Cup and is declared the winner.